right, man. So it's great to have you here, man. Thank you for coming up. Came up with your son. Appreciate you. My friend, Alshande, who's been a friend of mine for like 30 years, he just kept messaging me about, yeah, you got to hit up, it says Matthew Vidal on your Instagram. But it's Cody Vidal.
Yeah, Cody Matthew Vidal. I like that middle name Matthew better than Cody. There's a story to that. Tell you later, but yeah, Matthew's
a boxer, and he's a boxer and a hypnotherapist.
Yeah, so I actually fight for BKFC, Bare Knuckle Boxing. I'm in title contention now. I will have that title here within a year. I promise you that. And one of the reasons why is because I am a hypnotherapist and I know how to program my subconscious and unconscious mind, which there is a difference between the subconscious and the unconscious that people don't know about. We could discuss that then too. But
I'd love to hear about it for sure. So, yeah, there was a book of one of my students, black belts, he was asking me about my top 5 books, and one of those books was a book called Psycho-Cybernetics. Have you ever heard of it?
Yes.
Is it Mike Maxwell? I'm not sure.
A lot of fighters read that book.
Yeah, cybernetics is like the study of missiles, and it's always correcting, right? It's not just a straight line, right, to success. I love all this stuff, so love to hear about it.
Perfect.
How do you program yourself to for success?
Well, I mean, we can get right into it if you want to. So, most people, I'm just gonna be me for now. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you some questions, and we're gonna, since we have a video camera on you, we're gonna monitor exactly how your eyes move, your body moves, etc. So the first question I have for you is, what is the worst thought you have about yourself that you must erase?
The worst thought that I have about myself that I have to erase?
That you must erase.
That I must erase.
So while you're thinking about that, what you did is you looked up, you looked left, you took a deep breath in, right? Your body posture is that you're leaning forward, maybe because you are a jiu-jitsu artist and MMA fighter, your back hurts like mine does, right? Right? Like our body tells us exactly how we're feeling inside. Whether it's physical pain, emotional, mental, our body tells us that. So what people don't see, which I'm going to show you, is this is a mudra, right? When we pray, our fingertips are touching each other. And so these are your extremities, and your blood flow, your energy is all going down to the tips of your fingers and then all the way back to you. You are electromagnetic. Your brain is electromagnetic. Your heart is electromagnetic. But you are consciousness itself. You're not a body. You're not a brain. You are consciousness yourself. And the way society is being brainwashed is that the government, govern means control, ment means mind. So the mind control that operates us, really programs us, is doing it with fear. The fear of what? The fear that you are here today and gone tomorrow, and that's it. That's finito. And so the problem with that is when people think that they're temporary, when people think that they're just material, they treat themselves as such. And I truly believe, I would say I know that we are souls, we are conscious beings that are eternal. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So without me going on a tangent, let's revert back to the question I asked you. What is the worst thought you have about yourself that you must erase? Everything that we create, everything that we do first begins in our mind as thoughts. Thoughts create emotions. Emotions create actions. Actions create results. And so most people are constantly looking for answers outside of themselves, when in all reality, the word win has the word in it for a reason. Win has the word in it for a reason. We win from within. So if you spell the word win in its past tense, won, W-O-N, and you spell one backwards, it says now. And Sun Tzu, the one who wrote the book, The Art of War, said that all wars are won, all battles are won before you ever even touch foot on the battlefield. They're won within. That's visualization. That's imagination. And God created us in his likeness and in his image. His likeness is his character. To be like him is to be loving, to be strong, to be creative. And the word image is in the word imagination. So I believe that God not only created us in his imagination, with his imagination, but he gave us human beings that imagination. Let's look at the proof. Name me another creature on earth any animal kingdom, any kingdom of life, any phyla, name me one creature that has the imagination that we have. One. You can't.
Yeah.
That's why we are the apex predator. That's why we are on the top of the food chain, because we are able to control that mind and that body that we are in.
That neocortex evolved, right? Over
Exactly. So you feel free to cut me off anytime you want to and ask questions, because I just free flow.
Yeah. Keep going. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was. You asked me the question, and like when I was younger, it was about me, and now it's about my family and my community, and so. What's the worst thing about myself? I guess just not me giving my all in something, So I work my ass off. I guess it's the fear of whatever, not doing enough and not giving my all, whatever that fear is.
Well, I believe that everyone that I encounter thinks they're not good enough in one way or the other. You can call that imposter syndrome if you want to. It's really the fear and the guilt of not being perfect. But none of us are perfect, right? If you look at all different religions, there's really only one person that ever claimed perfectionism, and he didn't say it himself, actually. It's everybody that was around him writing that. And it was, the creator himself that instilled his consciousness in that human being. And that would be Christ Yeshua. So I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. And I think that I'm just going to go right into it. I have a cross on my neck. So those that think that hypnotherapy is like anti-religion or if that hypnotherapy is evil, no, it's not. Hypnosis is literally a state of sleep. It's a state of trance, a state of flow, or it's literally a state of not knowing. Right? So there's different forms of hypnosis. So going back to what I had asked you, I want to talk about your body language, right?
Okay.
So, we talk about body posture, right? When Christ was on the cross, that was very painful
open, yeah.
to hold himself up, right? But the cross itself is revealing not just sacrifice, but showing with open arms that you can embrace salvation by changing your life. And how do you change your life? You got to change your mind, but you also got to change your heart, because your heart actually has a mind of its own, and that's been proven. So going back to the body language, right? We want to be more open. We want to be more free. But most importantly, we want to close our eyes. So when I ask my clients questions, I should say, I always have them close their eyes. Why? Win from within. See, we're always looking for the answers outside of ourselves. Happiness is a state of being that is temporary. Happiness is, this person makes me happy, and this job makes me happy, and this gym makes me happy. So when we attach happiness to people, places, and objects outside of ourselves, people, places, and objects outside of ourselves are constantly changing, right? So wouldn't it make sense that that's why our happiness is constantly changing?
Yeah.
Right? That's why we got to look within ourselves, win from within. And the word enjoy, E-N-J-O-Y, literally means joy in. Joy is a choice. All that we do is a choice. It is first a thought. Now, if you don't control your mind will control you. And right there is that little gap that Wayne Dyer, have you ever heard of Wayne Dyer?
Of course, I listened to his before sleep. My friend, that friend that put me onto you.
Yeah.
He like the before bed, like auto programming. I'm this. I'm enough. I'm this.
Yeah.
Before bed.
So I mean, like I can stay in teacher mode. I can go in like friendly mode and ask you questions more because
we can flow. We can flow. One of the things that comes to the top of my head is what's the difference between NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and hypnosis?
Okay, so I use them in tandem with each other. Hypnosis is that state of flow. Okay, so you have two forms of hypnosis that I predominantly use on individuals: subconscious hypnosis, half awake.
And what do you describe flow? Well, how do you?
So when you're in flow, it's because you're in that subconscious state. The subconscious state is when you actually enter theta brainwave and you start to go into delta, which is unconscious. When you're in theta brainwave, you are relaxed. The reason why you're relaxed is because you're half asleep, but you're also laser focused. Why? Because you're half awake. Okay? There are 5 F's of the mind that I always talk about. Okay, flow is the one you want to be in. The other 4 F's are the trauma responses.
Okay.
Do you know what those are?
I mean, fear, one of them. Fight.
Fight, flight, freeze, fawn, fight, attack, flight, run away, freeze, shut down. And fawning is one most people
What's
don't
fawning?
know.
Yeah.
It's adopting a submissive role. Because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings, or you're trying to avoid a confrontation, try to avoid a negative consequence.
Fawn. Yeah. It's a defense, right? Mechanism to avoid whatever confrontation, avoid a fight.
Yeah. So since we're talking about trauma responses, survival, right? People talk about survival of the fittest, right? Most people are in survival mode. Most people are enslaved to their brain and the fear that's in there, because the brain has one goal. Your unconscious mind has one goal. You know what that goal is?
Survive.
That's it. That's it. That's why people are stuck. People are always saying, well, I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I've been doing this for years. I've been doing this for years. The actions that you've been doing for years have been producing the same exact results for years. And you're not happy, but your unconscious mind is, because you have food, you have water, you have shelter, you survive. But you don't thrive, do you, when you're in that mentality?
Yeah. I mean, if you're depending on the mode you're in, right?
Exactly. So
There's levels of survival, right? I think if I look at it like that, there's level of survival, just surviving, right? And then there's thriving at the highest level.
Exactly. So think about when you first started doing jiu-jitsu. You probably did it because you wanted to defend yourself, right?
I mean, yeah, sure. I can see that. I just did it because my friends were doing it, and then guy armbarred me, and I was like, I have to learn this. And
Aha, yeah, because if you don't learn how to defend an armbar, you're not going to survive,
I
right?
didn't like getting armbarred.
Yeah. So then you developed an affinity for jiu-jitsu. So basically, what happens is you got armbarred. Pain motivation. What is pain motivation? Pain motivation is you are motivated by what is fearful. You are motivated by that which is causing you to be in survival mode. For example, most people only work to pay bills. Most people don't like their job. And because they don't like their job, they don't like their life. Why? Because they're devoting most of their time and their efforts to a job they don't like. And so what happens is that keeps them in survival mode alone. And now they're in this pain motivation. They're not actually pleasing themselves. So what happened was you got armbarred. You were pain motivated. You started learning jiu-jitsu. You became really good at it. And now you have a lifestyle based on Brazilian jiu-jitsu, correct?
Pretty much.
Do you love your job?
I love it.
There you go. You are pleasure motivated. You are thriving. The sad aspect is most people aren't, and that's what I want for them, is to go from surviving to thriving.
Yeah, love it. So tell me about yourself. You are from?
I am from a town called Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
Home of Yingling Beer, the oldest brewery in America.
Okay. Some Germans, I'm sure.
Yeah.
German heritage.
Yeah, Youngling. And then now we had the 1925 NFL champions, known as the Pottsville Maroons, who were stripped of their title because they did an illegal scrimmage with Allentown. You ever hear the song, Living Here in Allentown?
No, but
it's an old song. It's an old song. You probably look that up and clip it right now. But yeah, it's an old song, pretty famous song called Allentown, and it's about 30 minutes from Allentown.
Okay.
Maybe you've heard of Easton. Easton Wrestling's a powerhouse. Maybe you've heard of Larry Holmes.
Pennsylvania, right? The whole state.
Exactly. Larry Holmes is the only person to ever stop Muhammad Ali. Larry Holmes.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Ali retired on the stool.
Right.
Larry Holmes is the most underrated heavyweight boxer.
Mike Tyson got the revenge?
Yes, he did. To a very old Larry Holmes, by the way. But Larry Holmes is from Easton, and I lived in Easton as well for a period of my life. And I actually trained at Larry's gym, and I trained with his nephew. Okay. Speaking of boxing, right? But yeah, I'm from Pottsville, Pennsylvania, and ask me away, man. Ask.
Yeah. So tell me more. Tell me more about you. How did you get into boxing? What led you down this path into doing what you do now?
Growing up in what's called the coal region. Okay.
Cold region.
Coal.
Got it.
Well, it is cold. So it's cold, but then we have coal dirt. So when you go into our mountains and you're walking through the woods, you look down, it's black. It's cold dirt, right? It's just like basically pure carbon.
Yeah, it's a cold country.
And this was an area where it was booming at one point. I believe Pottsville is the very first place in America where coal was found. It was in Sharp Mountain, Pottsville, which the Yuengling factory is built into the caves of this mountain. And so they were able to rig the natural spring water from the mountain into the factories. So they're able to actually hide in the caves during Prohibition times where they were trying to stop the sales of alcohol and the production of alcohol.
Okay.
And that's how Yuengling survived, off of the spring water there in that mountain where they found coal, Sharp Mountain. Pretty sharp idea, right? And all has to do with sunlight, brother. It all has to do with sunlight. You want to test that theory? Let's go to the equator, okay? Any countries, any tribes that are living close to the equator, healthy and happy. Happy people. Whether it's Africa, you go over there, man, they're all dancing. They're living in the dirt, but they're dancing. They're having fun. They're full of soul.
Yeah.
Go to South America, they're happy, right? You're close to the sun. The further you get away from the sun, the colder it is, the less life. And now you need to adapt. And so I think that's why Russians, like my son's half Russian, right? That's why I think Russians are so stinking strong, is because they deal with the cold. Look at Canadians. They're cold. They love hockey. Right?
Yeah, they like to fight.
So if you look at like Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey,
Yeah.
that's the Mecca on the East Coast. But if you look at the Mecca out here,
California has good wrestling too, it's the best in the country. So
yeah, if you look out here, it's kind of the opposite in terms of like misery. Like when people are happier out here, they're more relaxed. But it's also because they have more free time to do the craft. On the East Coast, all the people that I know that are training, most of the people that are training and fighting are working factory jobs for 12-hour shifts, 6-7 days a week.
So how did you go into boxing? Let's get into your boxing journey.
Oh man, so
You were a kid, how did that happen?
I grew up watching Rocky Balboa.
There we go.
My
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, exactly. 2 hours north of Philly. Grew up watching Rocky Balboa. I was obsessed with professional wrestling because it was pushed on me. I watched Bloodsport.
By your family?
My family,
Okay.
my family. Jean-Claude Van Damme was amazing in Bloodsport, Lionheart, Kickboxer, Karate Kid. All these martial arts movies and whatnot, combat sports movies, were very enticing. Professional wrestling, and then when Ken Shamrock came over to professional wrestling, that's when I discovered the UFC. So shout out to Ken Shamrock, thank you very much for that. Lion's Den, and then other people that I have met that I've trained him, such as Catch Wrestling 101. What's his name? I can't believe
Eric Paulson?
Eric Paulson. So sorry, Eric. I'm drinking coffee right now, which I never do. But Eric Paulson, yeah, he trained a lot of those guys, and actually trained with Guy Metzger a couple times in Texas when I lived there too. But boxing, dude, of all the combat sports, I love wrestling. I love jiu-jitsu, but there's just something very satisfying about punching someone in the face. Respectfully. And I grew up watching old black and white boxing film with my grandfather, Robert Paul Vidal, rest in peace. And his mom was German and his dad was Spanish. His dad was from Madrid, illegal. He was illegal and undocumented, basically. And they had 11 children together. They had my grandfather. He was the 10th. And so being that they were half German, half Spanish, they were called filthy words like SPIC and SPAN in a predominantly white dominant area, right? And I guess they like formed their own gang and whatnot, and they would, nothing crazy, but they would like just stick together and fight. And so my grandfather was a fighter, as my mom's dad. My mom was a fighter. My mom was very good in softball, very good in basketball. My dad was a fighter. And when I say fighters, I'm not talking about sports fighting. I'm talking about like, we'll fight on the drop of a dime for any reason. And so, being from that area where it's extremely tough, it's survival of the fittest. Literally, the East Coast has a level of pride and a level of arrogance, and I mean this with respect, y'all. But on the East Coast, it's so fast-paced. It's so cutthroat. It's so like, what did you do for me? Get out of my way type mentality, right? Whereas out here, it's happier. Why? I'm telling you, it's the sunlight. If you give people sunlight, it literally brightens their day. Like all the chemicals in the brain start firing better. You start feeling better, right? But if you put somebody in the cold, now they're in poverty. They're in the cold. They're in poverty. Okay, they're living amongst each other. They're bored. Apathy. They're bored. Fighting is a natural instinct to do for fun. Look at all animals. They all wrestle with each other, right? And so if you're constantly wrestling with yourself, if you're constantly fighting yourself, you're gonna be so excited the second somebody looks at you the wrong way. And I know this is true in like countries like Brazil, Mexico, Russia. Yeah. Because those are fighting cultures.
Like another level, right? Like all the Dagestani, all the guys from the Caucasus, Georgia, Armenia, you know, southern Russia, that area, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Where you find oppression, you will find some obsession with violence, some martial arts or whatever it is. Yeah. And that's because we're in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, you want to fight your way out. Yeah. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right?
Yeah, you find the way to survive. But if you got the fight in you, you know, you make it happen, right?
Exactly. So, you know, I was riding my bicycle.
Your grandfather was German and
Spanish.
Spanish, okay, like me. Yeah. I'm German, Spanish, and American Indian, 20%.
What tribe?
Apache.
Apache? Yeah. Nice. Yeah. You ever see that show, American Primeval, on Netflix?
No.
Watch it.
Primeval?
America Primeval.
America Primeval. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a big movie guy or TV show guy.
It's a movie or a TV show?
It's a TV show. It's a series. It's nice.
Okay.
They follow the Shoshone. And the Shoshone, how they're battling with the Mormons in Utah, right? For the grounds. They're battling for the grounds. It's astonishing. It's very astonishing. They say that I have Cherokee in me, which... You know, if you're a white
Cherokee?
guy. Yeah, if you're a white guy and you have any native in you, it's typically Cherokee because
from that side.
North America is where most people migrated from Europe. Yeah. Right? But speaking of natives, man, I love Native American culture and Viking culture. They're both very similar, and they did mix back in the day. And there's evidence of that in the DNA that they actually mixed. There was a grandma in Iceland. This is very interesting. There's a grandma in Iceland that mothered a large portion of Iceland, and she was a Native American woman. So a Viking met her, was like, hey, let's make some babies, right? And now they have this nice little mix.
Yeah. So going back to your boxing, how did you start? How did your journey continue?
So
that you're, bare knuckle fighting now.
So I was riding my bicycle down the street one day, and I was heavily involved in UFC. I loved it, and I drove past this old old building that was abandoned, and I heard, I was like, that is a speed bag. Yeah. So I drove up the alleyway, and I found the doors to a garage open, and in there was Joe Godinez, my very first coach from Extreme Fitness, and he was hitting the speed bag. And he had a steel dummy in there. And one of those steel dummies from karate. He had pads on it. And immediately, before I even signed a waiver, had me start key punching this thing. And I'm key punching it. And the pad is sliding up and down as I'm hitting it. And I'm hitting direct steel. If you look at my knuckles from that day started to look like this because I broke both of them. I just sat there key punching the steel. And even though my knuckles were bleeding,
they look like good knuckles for bare knuckle.
Yeah. He literally just goes,
take
keep
some
punching.
Skin out of people's faces.
I was 15. He's like, keep punching. So I broke my knuckles, and they started to form like that. Yeah. Off that first time, and I was like, wow, I want to do this. And the first time I did jiu-jitsu, probably like the next day, I got armbarred by Brian Burns and Brian Supsick, two good fighters from where we were at the time. One popped my other arm, I wouldn't tap. I got out, even though I didn't tap, but I hyperextended both arms. So my first martial arts journey, I had two broken hands, and my elbows were popped, hyperextended. So I was walking around like this.
It was a boxing gym or like MMA gym?
It was predominantly JKD, Jeet Kune Do concepts, but we morphed into boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and MMA.
Yeah. Nice. And then you fought amateur?
Mm-hmm. So I fought amateur. Amateur records are hard to find. I do have it online, but they're hard to find. I went 5-2. Everybody has their excuses. It should be 7-0, but you know, in fighting, just like in life, there's corruption. People are gonna give their hometown guy the victory in an amateur fight. You know,
all the way to the Olympics. You know, look at what's his name in Korea. Man, what's his name? Sorry, I'm going blank on his name. Yeah, he was champion forever. So he fought Mike Tyson like a few years ago.
Korean fighter who fought.
No, he's American.
Oh,
But,
American.
He lost. I think they robbed him, or was it who robbed? Was it Mayweather that got robbed?
Mayweather got robbed.
That was the
Roy Jones Jr. got
Roy
robbed.
Jones Jr. Yeah, Roy Jones Jr. That's what I was.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, he got robbed.
That was
He
in
got
Korea,
robbed.
right?
Believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, like total blatant robbery
Yeah, it was terrible.
against the Korean fighter that was with the Olympics in Korea.
Yeah. So the short story, because you keep asking about the boxing, and I don't get to this straight. That's just not how my mind operates with the ADHD on coffee. But
Bad idea on the coffee.
yeah,
For me too.
I had a compression fracture when I was 15 years old in
Okay.
football.
Okay.
And then when I was 16, I fractured my wrist and tore my ACL, like completely in half. And I just kept to continue to play and continue to excel in football. But I liked martial arts better. And so when it came time to stop playing football in high school and I wanted to take my martial arts career seriously and fight professionally, I had a pinched radial nerve that, if you just pushed my hand, would scream pain up into my neck and my back and would shut my whole right arm down. Mm-hmm. So the idea of punching repetitively over and over and over again, I could not hit a hook. I could not hit an uppercut. I could only punch straight. So anytime I would try those, I'd feel that immediate shock and it would shut me down. You can see there where I eventually had surgery. They opened me up. They removed the scaphoid here, which was pinching the nerve.
Scaphoid bone, yeah, the boxer's fracture. I broke my wrist there too.
Yeah. And now everything's way better. But that injury alone,
You had it done after the surgery? Way after?
yeah, I had this wood done. I had this done just a couple of years ago. I'm 36, right? So my whole amateur career was fractured wrist, pinched nerve, T7 compression fracture, ribs broke off too, torn ACL. Those are like the major injuries, right? And so it was like I never really took my fighting career as seriously as I could because I was constantly being injured. Mm-hmm. And then finally I had my ACL repaired and I had my wrist repaired, and I thought to myself, now I could box. Because when I was younger, I wanted to box, but I couldn't, and I didn't have anybody to help me financially fix this. I just couldn't. You couldn't punch with it. You just couldn't. So people are like, well, how did you fight MMA? Well, because I could land 1 or 2 good shots in MMA. I could start elbowing, right? There's different ways to fend for myself. I could wrestle. I could grapple. But now after I got this wrist surgery, I went back to MMA after the knee surgery and the wrist surgery, and that back fracture of mine is just like, as we're talking, it's like just a constant toothache in your back, right? Just constant. And like I've looked into all different kind of modalities, but hot, cold, plunging, which if I do that, I'm good for a couple of days. But
I got to show you some intuitive flow, where you move all your joints. Most people don't know how to move all their joints. That's part of TAC Fit.
TAC Fit, yeah, TAC Fit. Mm-hmm. So that's where I'm at right now. Bare knuckle boxing is a lot easier for me than the wrestling on my body. Like training's way easier. Okay, the fight to me is easier. People look at bare knuckle and are like, that's crazy, you're getting cut. It's like, yeah, but like I'd rather get cut than break a joint. And I love jiu-jitsu. I still train jiu-jitsu. I still train wrestling, and I'm very good at it. But what I've learned is slow, at this age, slow is fast. Slow is fast. You learn way more and you develop way better when you move slow in grappling, because it's human chess.
Less is more, right? Less is more too.
Yep. So yeah, keep asking questions, bud.
So how did you get into, you got bare knuckle fighting, okay, and then how did you get into this realm of hypnotherapy?
Ooh, that's a beautiful question. Thank you. So over 6 years ago, I was 30 years old. Was married to my son's mother, and we both had our own traumas. We both had our own personalities, and they just did not connect. They just did not connect. And so I was dealing with a relationship that was, in my in reality was killing me from the inside. Because I didn't heal, she didn't heal, right? I jumped into that relationship pretty fast because I was depressed, man. I had depression my whole life. I had anxiety my whole life. I was diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 4 years old. My dad lived right next door in the projects. I could hear him through the wall, but I never saw him. My mom, she took me from my grandparents when I was 2 years old. I didn't even really know who my mom was. I didn't have a connection with her. So I felt like I was abducted. So I realized later in life that I developed like what they call it separation anxiety, where it's like you have an attachment to somebody and now you always need to be with them. My grandparents were like my mom and my dad. And so for the first 2 years of my life, I didn't really know my mom because she was always out. And I feel bad for my mom because what my father did to her and what happened to my mom when she was younger. But, you know, I forgive my mom. I forgive my dad. But when I was taken from my mom, I felt abducted, and I was living in the projects in Pottsville, Pennsylvania, and right next door, my dad then moves in, and I just like, it's a very weird situation if you think about it. Don't know my dad. I don't really know my mom. They're living right next to each other. You could hear my dad through the wall.
And they didn't come. He didn't spend time with you.
No, very, very rarely. And then my mom's boyfriend at the time, my brother Brandon's dad. I love Mike. His name is Mike, and I like to name drop because I like to give people credit.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like Mike was causing himself a lot of issues. I think Mike had demons he's never healed, and so Mike was abusing certain types of drugs, and there was domestic violence, and it's just like, fuck, man. Like I know I didn't have it as bad as most people. Like there are people in Palestine right now, Ukraine right now, people all over the world that are just suffering for the sake of evil's greed, right? And it all starts in the home, brother. Like, you shouldn't have children if you're not going to love them, you know? And that's coming from God. That's not coming from me. Like, God put that in my heart, and I could feel that. And, you know, some days I'm not the best dad myself, you know, and I feel really guilty for it. Like, I might try not to cry right now. But you take a nice deep breath in, you regulate your thoughts.
Do your best, yeah.
And you say to yourself, what is the best thought I think about myself? And I think that I'm a good person because I give the effort to. I give the effort to be a good person. And so with that said, going back to my mom and my dad and hypnotherapy is I carried anxiety and depression. I was medicated at the age of 4 years old for ADHD. Ritalin is an evil drug. You should not give to anybody, specifically kids, when they're still developing. And I was on ADHD medication until I was in 5th grade. We didn't eat food, man. Like, we ate once a day, and it was McDonald's dollar burger, or Burger King dollar burger. That's not food. That's not food. So when you give a kid fake food and then you medicate them with an amphetamine that has the same exact results that meth would give, what do you think happens to that kid's psychology? What do you think happens to that kid's physicality? They decay. They're not growing. They're decaying at a young age.
Dependent already on the brain becomes dependent on that. So, like, you know, a lot of those guys grow up to go on other stuff, right?
Yeah. So for the first 2 years of my life, I didn't know who my mom was. And then when I met my mom, I was afraid of her, and I didn't like being with her because she was struggling. She was in survival mode. My dad, living right next door, was in survival mode. Right? And I'm doing my best not to shun my mom or dad right now.
Right.
Because there's certain things I could say.
Yeah.
But basically, go on.
I was saying you forgive them, and you're in a way it seems like you flipped into a positive thing, right?
Hey, man,
it's making you helping others because of that trauma, and that's beautiful. That's what it's about, right? You flipping the script.
It's
for your kids, for your the people you help with your work.
It's all good because I could have been a victim. You know, I could have been a victim to different types of circumstances, different types of situations that other people have been a victim to, and those are the people that I help. So if I didn't go through that suffering, I wouldn't be where I am today. And we're constantly like thinking about our suffering as if it's something bad. And a lot of it is. But it's not the suffering that matters most. It's the sacrifice that we make from that suffering, the sacrifices we make. So it's like you suffer when you're young. You didn't have a good mom or dad. You can choose to be a bad dad, a bad mom, or you could choose to be a good mom or good dad. I choose that. I choose to be a good dad. And so, you know, fast forward 30 years old, I'm in a relationship with his mom. She's not good to me. I'm not near as good to her as I could be. And I'm only making $70,000 a year in the state of California, and I'm the only one working. I have no good credit. I have no family in California. My grandparents passed away, right, at this point in time. I'm in
How did you move to California? What brought you out here?
Emmanuel Paul Newton,
Emmanuel Paul
light
Newton.
heavyweight champion of Bellator at the time.
Okay, okay.
I did not personally know him. And after my grandfather died, and it was a foul play death, and I forgave the people that did it. After my grandfather, who raised me, my dad, died in my arms, I saw his last breath. I felt his pulse go from a pulse to nothing. And I wanted that. I wanted to experience that when my grandfather died, because when my grandmother died, I kissed her on the forehead and told her, I will be back. I have to go to work. I'll be back. Please just give me one more moment with you. And when I left, she died 5 minutes into my drive. And I just cried the whole way to work. I didn't go back. And I came back, you know, the next day, and she was gone. She wasn't in the bed anymore. The coroner came and took her. So I was like, you know what? There's a lot of different ways to become a man, to become a stronger person. And I think one of those is watching the person take their last breath that watched me take my first breath. And I think there's a lot of power in that. And so if you have a mom or a dad or a loved one and they are sick or they're dying, or one day they are sick and they're dying, be there for their last breath. Be there for the last breath and inhale that last breath.
I just saw on social media, basically, after you die, you have set your brain activity is around for another 7 minutes, and it replays like the best moments of your life.
That's probably the release of the dimethyltryptamine, the spirit molecule, the strongest hallucinogen in the world. It's why we dream. When we dream, we're hallucinating, we're tripping.
And like your kids, like what was it? Was that where they fly in space?
Astral projection?
No, the movie with I'm going blank on all the names. You know, but basically the last moment, Matt Damon became the bad guy, and he tried to kill the Matthew McConaughey. And basically he's like, at the last moments before you die, you see the face. If you have kids, like the faces of your kids. And so those memories, the best moments of your life, right? Play, and then, you know, probably the last thing that you see is, like, maybe if you have kids, is the faces of your kids.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would want to see, whether they're there or not. That's what I want to see.
If you talk about God and you talk about all these things, it's like, man, like, who designed all these things? How does it even work, right?
Yeah,
For that to even happen.
So I'm really good at talking in loops and coming back.
Yeah.
So here's the comeback on that loop, right? So after my grandfather was killed, like a couple months later, I didn't pray for a long time.
Your grandfather, he was a miner.
My grandfather's dad was a miner.
Grandfather's dad, okay.
He's the one that died in the coal mine. My grandfather died of cancer. My grandfather, Robert Paul Vidal, which is called him Bob, Pappy, that's what I call him, Pappy. My Pappy died, and it was foul play, and so I had a lot of hatred in my heart, man, on top of what I already carried my whole life. And I had actually moved home from Texas to Pennsylvania to be with him for the last couple years of his life, because I felt guilty. Like, he raised me. I should be there for him. And in the life I had built in Texas, I had a good job. And I was training with Team Takedown. I was training with Johnny Hendricks, the Rochelle brothers. I was training with Kamaru Usman.
What's his name? Mark Lehman moved out there, right?
Mark Lehman. Yeah, I was training with him. I was living with the striking coach, Stephen Wright. I had a great setup. Still an amateur fighter at that time. He had a bad diagnosis, and I was like, man, like, I'm pretty fucking selfish for being here. Sorry for my French again. I'm pretty selfish for being here. I gotta go, you know? And so I did that. And to have him, like, killed in front of me, and then other situations arise that were really bad, I was very mad. And my friend prayed with me. A friend that I actually lived with in Texas said, let's just pray, man. You know that prayer works, right? I said, yeah. He said, you know that good comes to you when you pray. You attract good when it comes to you when you pray. I said, yeah. He goes, so why are you doing this to yourself? So I said prayer with him. I then posted a Facebook post online. And it said, of all the greatest athletes and of all the best fighters, of all the champions, every single one of the legends, every single one of the greats believe in God. Now, whether they're Christian or Muslim doesn't matter, because even in Muslim, Christ is a four-figure. Christ is a prophet. Peace be upon him, they say. So all of these fighters, all of these champions, they believe in God. They believe in the Creator. They believe in Yeshua. And I posted that. And within 5 minutes, this was April 4th, 2014. I have the message still in Facebook Messenger. April 4th, 2014, I get a message from Emmanuel Paul Newton, the light heavyweight champion of Bellator at the time, that said, our Heavenly Father put it on my heart to contact you. God is real. Here's my phone number. I called him. We talked for 4 hours. I flew to California for 2 weeks.
Just after that post, randomly.
After the prayer in the post. After the prayer in the post. I just had added him the day prior and never said a word to him. I watched him knock out King Mo on TV. I added him, and the next day, he messaged me.
Wow.
And he talked to me for 4 hours, and he said, brother, you're different. You're a spiritual person. God's calling you out here. I listened to him. And because I listened to him, my life changed dramatically, like for the better. God is real. And I came to California with all that anxiety, and I lived here for 5 years, paycheck to paycheck. Emmanuel literally said to me, I foresee you moving to Temecula, California. I was living with Emmanuel Newton and Antonio McKee and AJ McKee. I was living with them in Long Beach. And he said to me, I foresee you living in Temecula, California. Now, my girlfriend at the time was not living in California. She was in Pennsylvania. She came out here and started applying for jobs. She applied all up and down SoCal. All up and down SoCal. She got a job interview in Rainbow, California. As we drive down the 15 to Rainbow, California, we're passing Temecula. I don't even realize it.
Where's Rainbow, California?
It is literally connected to Temecula to Fallbrook.
Okay.
So it is right there on the line of San Diego County. We're driving down the 15. We're passing Temecula, and I don't even realize we're passing Temecula. As we get into Rainbow, I see this giant cross up on top of the mountain, and I'm immediately compelled to know that I am exactly where I need to be. She goes into the job interview. She comes out. I got the job. I immediately go, oh, Dan Henderson's gym is pretty close to here.
Okay.
That's where you and I connect. So I had been talking to Gustavo Pugliese for a very long time. Even when I was living in Pennsylvania, I was talking to Gustavo Pugliese for a very long time about training with him and Dan Henderson. How my boxing coach at Penn State University, Os Omosagi, went to college at Lock Haven and boxed with Gustavo Pugliese, who was Dan Henderson's boxing coach. And that's how he connected with Gustavo. I just randomly end up in Rainbow, California. My girlfriend at the time gets the job on the interview. She got the job as a teacher. And so I'm like, okay, let's see what else God has in store for me. I go onto my Google Apps.
What year was this? I'm just curious.
This is 2014.
14, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was in Temecula like 2008, 7, 8, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I go into my phone, right? And I program Dan Henderson's gym. And it says it's 2 miles away. And I'm like, what? So I drive there, and I go in the doors, the double doors, and I see Gustavo standing there. It's like, Gustavo, I'm here. I was talking to this guy for years. Gustavo, I'm here. I signed up, even though we were subletting a place in Santa Ana at the time. We left Long Beach, and we're subletting a place in Santa Ana. I was driving over an hour and a half just to go train in the morning so she can go to work and I'd go train. That's how I started training with Dan Henderson. And then we moved there We ended up moving
I
there.
know that drive well. I was driving from here.
We moved to Temecula. Emmanuel prophesied that I would move to Temecula. And it happened. It happened. And I lived in Temecula for 5 years, trained with Dan Henderson, and that's where I met Sam Alvey. Now, at the time...
Sam Alvey's the hypnotherapist.
No, Sam Alvey was the UFC fighter, Smiling Sam. Smiling Sam. Remember Smiling Sam?
Yeah.
The redheaded guy with the big smile?
Yeah.
Fight on 205? Okay? This is where it gets really interesting. For anybody out there that doesn't think God is real, for anybody out there that doesn't think that you can create your own reality with your thoughts, listen to this story. So, Sam Alvey is always smiling, and I'm thinking to myself, anybody that smiles that much is not trustworthy. But I quickly found out I was wrong. His wife, Bree. Hi, Bree. Hi, Sam. Very happy people. Follow Christ, right? Tons of kids. They love kids. Bree Alvey won America's Next Top Model in the 11th season. America's Next Top Model, Tyra Banks, right?
Yeah.
She won the 11th season. 6'2" model. One of the kindest people I've ever met in my life. Sam, one of the hardest punchers I've ever met in my life. One of the kindest men I've ever met in my life. And around this time, I had met a man named Bruno Avinash Irde from Italy. This guy loved me from the start. Very spiritual guru type guy. Was into prayer, meditation, etc. He was a yogi. He was also the chef of Michael Jackson for 8 years and lived with him for 8 years.
Okay.
This guy would bring me the same exact food that he fed Michael, that he fed the Rolling Stones, that he fed the Beatles, that he fed Trump. This guy cooked for a lot of major players, and his food was the best food I ever had. Anyway, thanks, Bruno. He would tell me, Cody, you have all these problems in relationship because you have all these problems in yourself. You keep attaching yourself to girls thinking you're going to be happy. You got to go within. And he would teach me, where your focus goes, your energy goes. Where your energy goes, your power goes. Where your power goes, you go. Be careful what you focus on. And he had a conversation with me one day when I was going through a breakup with a girl that moved out here. She got a job. We ended up splitting up after 5 years. And he says to me, Cody, if you want to change your life, find somebody that you really like, that's living the lifestyle that you want, and emulate them. Emulate them. Copy them. It was Sam. It was Sam Alvey. I started going to church with Sam. And even though I was going to church with Sam, I still had issues. I fought in Bellator, and I ended up getting a fight in Bellator against Dalton Rasta, Helilo Dalton, very good fighter. And I asked for him. I said, give me the very best person that I can fight. I still had no ACL. I still had all those injuries with the wrist and whatnot. And I said, give me the best fighter you can. As I was slipping his jab on the inside, I pitched an overhand right. My MCL tore and my tibia broke.
Wow.
Right before that, I was in the locker room praying with Emmanuel Newton, fighting in the 205-pound division in the very shorts that Emmanuel Newton won the title against King Moen. He gave me those shorts. So he was cornering me. And before we went out there, I prayed for the best possible outcome. Remember, I didn't have an ACL. I didn't have insurance. I didn't have any money. I went out there, tore my MCL, broke my tibia. Bellator paid over $100,000 for my surgery, and I paid nothing. I finally have an ACL. I have a dead man's cadaver ACL in my leg, and it functions. Thank God, right? So you're probably thinking, okay, get to the point. God is real. Prayer works. So does meditation. And I'll tell you about the meditation later that I did for the first time ever.
Something bad is a positive because you were able to get all the things done that you have needed for I don't know how many years, right?
Oh, yes. So I was suffering in a marriage. I chose that marriage, right? Everything's our own choice. I was suffering from these injuries. I caused those injuries to myself by choosing these sports. It's my responsibility. And I wasn't making a lot of money, my choice, because I didn't focus on education as much as I could have. So I was only making $70,000 a year, working with people I did not like. We were not the same. I was injured. I wasn't able to train. Training was my therapy. remember, I'm carrying around anxiety,
So that
depression.
the time when you're recovering from the surgery and everything.
Yeah.
This is the time.
They gave me opiates to quell the pain. The nerve damage from that surgery was worse than the surgery itself. I had some bad nerve damage from my knee into my hip and my back. And then add all of these injuries. Dude, I battled with suicidal depression my whole life. I've put guns against my head. I've put my neck in nooses that I have made. That's a point where you cry out for God, and that's a point when God does answer you. So right before I had that Bellator fight, I was in a closet doing you know what, and I cried out to God, and I got a phone call the next day from Bo King, who's out there in Fight Syndicate in Menifee, California. Okay, thank you, Bo. Called me. Bellator's giving you the fight against Dalton Rasta. I'm like, wow. God answered. God answered. Because at this point, I just feel like I'm just failing. At this point, I just feel like I'm just dying. I'm just decaying. At this point, like I'm just not happy. And I knew I wouldn't do any of that. But the fact that I'm there contemplating it is just sad. Because I was a kid just like anybody else. Kids are innocent. Kids are pure. And nobody deserves, as a young age, no kid deserves to have a bad life. There's not a single kid in this world that deserves to have a bad life. So there I am, after the Dalton Rasta fight, after the surgery. I'm on opiates because I was given them. I'm weaning off of them. I'm using Kratom, natural, painkiller. And I've never had professional help. Ever. I finally swallowed that pill. One night I was drunk on opiates, and I trashed my room, man. I trashed my bedroom. I didn't know where my wife was. Probably out with somebody else. And I came home, and I just trashed the room, dude. And
You're home?
yeah, I called my son's grandparents. I was crying to them. I was just telling them honestly, like, this is what's happening to me. And then I called Sam, and Sam was like, "Dude, just come to church. Just come to church." And I called Kaiser Permanente, who my insurance company was, and I said to them, "Hey, I need an appointment. I'm having suicidal thoughts. I'm very depressed. I'm very anxious. I'm crippled. I was crippled. I couldn't." The surgery, I didn't even do the physical therapy because my job wouldn't let me. I was back at my job 2 days after surgery. They wouldn't let me do the physical therapy. It's like, you take your job or physical therapy. So my leg's crooked. It's not bad, but still, it's crooked, right? So there I am on the phone with the receptionist, and she's like, "Yeah, we could take you." I'm like, "Oh, when's your next available date?" She's like, 4 months from now. Excuse me? 4 months from now. I just told you I have suicidal thoughts. Sorry, sir, you're not the only one. There's a line. This was right before COVID. Could you imagine the line after COVID? Could you imagine the line after COVID?
They've seen numbers, right? Statistics of suicides and, those things, unfortunately.
Well, fortunately for me, I get angry. I can get angry quick. And in ADHD, when somebody gets angry, it actually produces dopamine. So there is a connection.
That's interesting.
There is a happy connection to anger with people with ADHD, which is why they rage so bad. And I got mad, and I was just like, "That's the dumbest crap in the world, blah, blah, blah." And so I get online on Instagram, and I see this ad for a hypnotherapy session posted by Sam Alvey. It was a testimonial from Sam Alvey. He never told me. He didn't tell me. This guy that I was told to emulate by Michael Jackson's chef. It's like, emulate the person you like most.
Yeah.
Sam's a fighter. He's a family guy. He loves God, right? Why else would I want to be like Sam Alvey?
And he never told you
He
about
never
it.
told me about it. He just posted a testimonial. The guy was offering a free consultation. I offer a free consultation now. I did the free consultation. And I'm going to give credit where credit's due, even though we don't talk anymore. Dom the hypnotist. Right? I'm advertising my competitor. I'm advertising the person that helped save my life. Dom the hypnotist. I did a session with him. For the first time in my life, I felt very, very calm and very, very confident at the same time. My whole life, I thought, because I was taught, because I learned, That being confident was being tough. Being confident was being hyper. Being confident was being aggressive. Being confident was being strong and crazy. Being confident is being calm. Because when you're calm, you're at peace with yourself. And when you're at peace with yourself, then you can trust yourself. And self-trust, another word for that is confidence. And when you trust yourself, when you're confident, then you are what? You're calm, confident, and you're in control. Calm, confident, in control. In control of what? Your thoughts. And when you're in control of your thoughts, you're in control of your emotions. When you're in control of your emotions, you're in control of your actions. When you're in control of your actions, you're in control of your results. And then the results that are positive reinforce those positive thoughts. And now your belief system becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. And therefore, you begin to relax more and more. You become more and more confident. You become more and more self-controlled. And those 3 C's, calm, confident, control, gives you what? Certainty. What's the difference between confidence and certainty?
Confidence and certainty. Certainty is basically like the actually like you may be doing something where that reaffirms your what you have the confidence, right? And so it's stronger than the confidence.
Totally. I always tell everybody, confident people still fail. Certain people always prevail. And I am certain of who I am and certain of what I do. Regardless if I am ever in my own way, I know that the second I step out of my own way, I achieve the desired result because I achieve it in my mind first. Mm. When you grow up the way I grew up, when you grow up alone, you're left with your thoughts. And if you weren't taught who God is, you don't know how to talk to God. So you sit there and you talk with your demons. And by talking with your demons, you learn not what to like, what you don't like. And then finally, when you realize that God exists, when you realize you also have another voice in your head too, and that voice is a better voice than the voice you have. It's like a spiritual guide, if you will, higher consciousness. You start to communicate with that. You realize this is a connection from God himself. I should follow this. And when you do that, you start to learn what meaning is. Meaning in all the pain, meaning in all the suffering.
So you started to do it, started to change your life?
Yes.
Change everything?
Yeah. So what happened was...
Reprogram your subconscious?
So what happened was, on that consultation with Dom, I didn't have a lot of money, but he put me on a payment plan. He's like, hey, man, I'm here to help you. He put me on a payment plan. I did the payment plan. In 2 sessions, just 2 sessions. I bought 6 sessions from him, but just 2 sessions. I could not experience or feel anxiety or depression if I tried. 30 years of it. And not just 30 years of my lifetime, all of the anxiety and depression, all the trauma from my parents and from my ancestors flowing in my veins, flowing in my electromagnetic consciousness, right? Couldn't feel it.
Okay, how do you keep that? How did you keep it from coming back?
I continued doing sessions with him, okay? So after the second session, I called my regional manager. I was working for Moon Valley Nurseries at the time, okay? I was an assistant manager making $70K a year in Temecula. And we weren't making a lot of money there, man. It's like a failing store, failing location. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have any landscape design experience, but I called Ricky Fox, and I said, Ricky, I want to make my first 6 figures ever. I want to get out of Temecula. I want to move to Orange County. He says, are you sure? I said, oh, I'm calm and I'm confident. I'm certain. He says, let's do it. The next day, I was driving 2 hours to Orange County every day to the Irvine location, Irvine, California, the largest location we had. I told my hypnotherapist my aspirations. He hypnotized me to do them. The sales record for landscape design, by the way, again, I didn't have any landscape design experience. The sales record out of all 60 locations was $255,000 in 1 month. He hypnotized me to break that record. And I did break that record the very first month. And I did $316,000 worth of sales that month. Way more than $255,000. That record stands till this day. This is a long time ago. And not only that, I made half my salary in 1 month. I made $34,000 in 1 month. Now, money is a byproduct of your efforts, and your efforts are a byproduct of your self-control. And so because I was not feeling anxiety, because I was not feeling depression, because I was not doubting myself, I was doing the opposite. I was believing in myself. I was happy. I was focused. I loved my job. And I did it 6 days a week. It was not mandatory to do 6 days a week. And I hit that goal, and I made half my salary in 1 month. Took $5,000, invested in the cryptocurrency, XRP, other cryptocurrencies. In just a few months, I made an extra $100,000. Remember, I was broke. No money, no credit. Now what happened next is that whole year, I made $128,000 commission in the job. So I made $128,000 commission in the job, over $100,000 from the investment. And that small amount of money, well, small amount of money now, which seemed like a lot of money, it paid itself like 100 times for that hypnotherapy program. Mm-hmm. So Dom the hypnotist, he changed my life rapidly. I was like, I want to do this. So I became his first employee. I bugged him and bugged him. I became his first employee. I started selling the programs for him. And while selling the programs for him, I was actually hypnotizing people. I learned how to do it rapidly. And these people would join the program. We had Netflix employees, NFL football players, UFC fighters. I can name some of these UFC fighters. You know Khalil Roundtree?
Yeah.
He worked with us. He went on an 8-fight winning streak. Fought Pajeda, but when he was fighting Pajeda, he wasn't working with Dom the hypnotist anymore. So the point is Dom convinced my mind with hypnosis. And NLP, you talked about that earlier. Hypnosis is that relaxed state. NLP is the actual programming, neurolinguistic programming. Convinced my mind to achieve all of my goals.
So how do you differentiate those two things?
So hypnosis is that state of either subconscious hypnosis, half awake, half asleep, or unconscious hypnosis where you are asleep. Okay, now your mind is ready to receive. Okay, so prayer is sending a message to God. Mm-hmm. God's voicemail is always open. Meditation is clearing your voicemail so you can receive God's message. Most people's problems is their voicemail is always full. So prayer is sending out what you want, projecting. Meditation is attracting. And I always tell people projection is attraction.
Joe Dispenza always talks about that, how, your thoughts, whatever, it's like the, pineal gland, whatever, you're sending out that messaging out in the universe, and then your emotions bring it back to you.
Yes. It takes just 6 seconds of thinking of a thought, positive or negative, to then trigger an emotion. So if you were to close your eyes and think about the happiest time of your life, within 6 seconds, you will feel it strongly. And now all you need to do is feel that emotion for 17 seconds for you to then start receiving the same energy back to you.
How long is the package or the starter package when you guys do like hypnosis?
So I have all different services, all different packages, all different payment plans, all different price points.
Gotcha.
I'm not a stickler. So if I know somebody's situation and they really want to do this, I'll make it work with them. I'm here to help people. Okay. The science is this. Harvard and Stanford universities have studied hypnotherapy. Their neuroscientists have studied hypnotherapy. And 6 sessions of hypnotherapy on average,
okay.
6 sessions of hypnotherapy on average equates to 93% cure rate of traumas and phobias.
6, wow.
6. So if 6 sessions could give a 93% cure rate of traumas and phobias, we're talking about PTSD, we're talking about people in war, people that have been raped, okay, people that have seen their family members die in front of them. If this can cure the fears and the programming that they have, these bad habits, in just 6 sessions, I'm not happy with 93%. I'm happy with 100 or more. So my main program is 8 private hypnotherapy sessions.
Gotcha. How long are the sessions for?
An hour and 15. Doesn't take much for me to program a person's mind properly.
And what does a session look like?
It's all via Zoom, brother. It's all via Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I work on people all over the world to comfort of their own home. And here's the best part about it. I don't need to know your dirty secrets. I don't want to. To help you heal, to help you improve, and to help you perform your best. I don't need to know, and I don't want to know. You can generalize it to me. My point is I take you there to the root problem We remove the root problem, then we reprogram that memory with positive thoughts, emotions, which develops positive actions and results, positive habits. And now you have this belief system that is running automatically because your unconscious mind runs itself. And so basically what I take is what you want to do consciously, and I put it what you want to do in your unconscious mind. And now you have this unification known as higher consciousness, higher self, you out of your own damn way.
Awesome. And I was gonna say about what do you look at? What do you look at? How do you guide them? Like you asked me right away after when we first started the podcast about what is my greatest fear? Is that how you start your sessions?
Let's do it. It's not long.
Okay.
Okay, so just close your eyes. All right. I want you to imagine there is a balloon in your belly, a balloon in your heart, and a balloon in your brain. In just a moment, we are going to fill up your balloon in your belly, fill up your balloon in your heart, and fill up your balloon in your brain in that order. I call this the balloon breathing method. It's a little method that I created, and it makes a whole lot of sense, and you will feel, not just know, but feel why. So take a deep breath in, filling up your belly balloon, belly balloon, belly balloon. Hold it, hold it, hold it. While holding your breath, fill up your heart balloon, fill it up, fill it up, fill it up, fill it up. While holding your breath, fill up the brain balloon, fill up the brain balloon, fill up the brain balloon. And as you fill up both of these balloons, all three of these balloons, you feel your body and your emotions expanding. You feel your thoughts expanding. Exhale, relax, relax, relax. Now I want you to do it again. Fill up your belly balloon, fill up your belly balloon, fill up your belly balloon. Now fill up your heart balloon, fill up your heart balloon, fill up your heart balloon. And fill up your brain balloon, fill up your brain balloon, fill up your brain balloon. And hold it for 3, 2, 1. Exhale, relax, relax, relax. And one more time, filling up your belly balloon, filling up your belly balloon, filling up your belly balloon. Filling up your heart balloon, filling up your heart balloon, filling up your heart balloon. Filling up your brain balloon, filling up your brain balloon, filling up your brain balloon. Hold it for 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Relax. 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 Now as you relax, as you relax, as you relax, I want you to know you are about to speak to your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind will speak to you audibly in your head. The answers that you hear will be the answers you tell me. You can generalize them or you can specify them as detailed as you'd like. Simply take a deep breath in. Exhale, repeat after me. Subconscious mind.
Subconscious mind.
What is the worst thought about myself that I must erase? When you get the answer, please say yes.
Yes.
Deep breath in. Exhale, repeat after me. Subconscious mind.
Subconscious mind.
Whatever I think,
this worst thought
about myself, that I must erase. What is the worst emotion that I feel?
What is the worst emotion that I must feel?
What is the worst emotion that I feel?
Worst emotion that I feel.
When you have that emotion, please say yes.
Yes.
What is that emotion?
My dad, not love on my dad.
What would that emotion be classified? Would that be fear? Would it be guilt? Would it be anger? Would it be sadness? Or would it be hurt?
Sadness.
Take a deep breath in. Exhale, imagine feeling that sadness. Imagine feeling that sadness. Imagine feeling that sadness. As you imagine feeling that sadness, take a deep breath in. Exhale, repeat after me. Subconscious mind.
Subconscious mind.
Whenever I feel sad.
Whenever I feel sad.
What is the worst action that I do?
Whenever I feel sad, what is the worst action that I do?
When you have the answer, please say yes.
Yes.
What is that action?
I emotionally disconnect.
And how does that physically manifest as an action?
I ignore the people that matter most.
Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Imagine ignoring the people that matter the most. Imagine ignoring the people that matter the most. Imagine ignoring the people that matter the most. Is this what your father did to you?
Yes.
Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Imagine ignoring the people that matter the most. People that matter most. Imagine ignoring the people that matter most. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Repeat after me. Subconscious mind.
Subconscious mind.
Whenever I ignore
the
people that matter the most,
people that matter the most,
what are the negative results?
what are the negative results?
When you have the answer, please say yes.
Yes.
What is the most negative result?
They don't feel loved.
You don't feel loved. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Remember the worst thought about yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
That I wasn't loved, wasn't good enough, something like that.
Now, take a deep breath in. Exhale. Repeat after me. Subconscious mind.
Subconscious mind.
Whenever I don't feel loved.
Whenever I don't feel loved.
Does this take me closer to success or closer to failure?
Repeat again.
Whenever I don't feel loved.
Whenever I don't feel loved.
Does it take me closer to success?
Does it take me closer to success?
Or closer to failure?
Or closer to failure?
What is the answer?
Closer to failure.
That's right. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Repeat after me. Whenever I fail.
Whenever I fail.
Does this reinforce?
Does this reinforce?
The idea.
The idea.
That I am not good enough.
That I am not good enough.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Open your eyes. Is this you?
Yeah.
No.
No.
It's not you. It's the program that your father instilled in you. Unintentionally.
The thoughts that I had, okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. In fact, if you never had that memory of your father, if that never happened, you wouldn't think that. You probably have another reason as to think why you're not good enough, right? Because human beings were negative bias. We're always focusing on the negative rather than the positive. But simply by addressing that, now I have enough psychoanalysis on you, just enough to now begin healing you. And the only way to improve, the only way to perform your best is by healing. Sean Strickland, very well documented on what happened to him and why he is the way he is. Pain motivated. And when you're pain motivated, you will only stay stuck motivated by pain. Now, Sean loves training because it's his therapy. I used to train with Sean. He's a spar. Hello, Sean. We just saw Sean go all 5 rounds with Dricus Duplessis. And Sean's like, yeah, I got my butt beat. Bro, be proud of yourself. You survived 5 rounds against a guy with a broken nose, and you're still pain motivated. Meaning, Imagine if Sean Strickland healed, and imagine if while healing he became happier and he started liking training even more. He started liking fighting even more. Now his mind's more open. Now instead of just jabbing and teeping like he is, maybe he's using his wrestling. Because dude, Sean's grappling is very, very good. It's very hard to take down, and if you take him down, you cannot hold him down. You just can't hold him down. So the point is like you take a guy like Sean Strickland and you help him heal, his improvements will translate into performances greater than ever before. Guaranteed.
What about messing, you know, like a lot of top athletes, they don't like to mess with their head. They like to have that
Pride?
Whatever it is that motivates them, that pain, motivation, whatever the motivation is, that's their edge, right? That's what makes them great athletes.
No one goes into your mind and says, you can only choose one. You can learn from your pain motivation. You can let go of the pain, but you can use the lessons from the pain motivation to actually please you and motivate you in a pleasurable way. And it all requires what? Letting go, letting go, letting go. You know what the truth of forgiveness is, brother?
What is it?
Say the word forgive with me.
Forgive.
Okay, it's 2 words, right? Forgive. Victor, a compound word is 2 words, right? A compound word is 2 words together, right? Right? Forgive. Victor's my son. Forgive. Flip the words. What's it say?
Give for.
Bingo. Forgiveness is giving for. What are we forgiving? In reality, we have duality. We have opposites, right? Good and evil, strong and weak, love and hate, joy and pain, right? We have this duality. The remedy is always the opposite of the problem. The remedy is always the opposite of the problem. And so if an individual is suffering from fear, the remedy is faith. But you got to let it go. So what is forgiveness? Forgiveness isn't saying, hey, I'm going to pardon the person that hurt me and become best friends with them. That's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is letting go of the pain involved, the fear, the guilt, the anger, the sadness, the hurt. It's letting go of that for no other reason than your own healing. Your own healing. And by you healing, now you can help others heal. And you can't spell the word health without heal, can you? So people become healthier by letting go, by forgiving. Now, that's just one aspect of forgiveness. One aspect of forgiveness is forgiving. Forgiving what? Forgiving the negative to give for the positive. You forgive your fear to give for your faith. You forgive your guilt to give for your innocence and your freedom. You forgive your anger to give for your patience and your kindness. You forgive your sadness to give for your joy. You forgive your hurt to give for your health, your healing. And this is the law of the universe. And the universe means one word, universe. Someone had to speak that word. And that word became one flesh. The whole universe became one flesh, encompassed in one person. And that person is telling you exactly what I'm telling you. I'm just paraphrasing Christ. At the end of the day, all wisdom is collective. And we don't create it. We co-create with that wisdom. Wisdom exists for eternity. And these are the values. This is the meaning that guides man either to a greater life or a worse life. It's just all your choice.
Love it. Love it. Well, I love your story. I love how you've turned a, if you want to call it negative into a positive, and you help others. It's love it, love it. Thank you for all that you do. How can people find you? How can people get connected to you?
So my Instagram is Vidal, V as in Victor, I, D as in David, AL.visions. So Vidal.visions. Okay, I'm on Instagram. Okay, my Calendly link is right there in my schedule is right there. My link is right there in my profile. You can click it. You can apply for a free consultation, and I'll give you an hour of my time and my expertise. We'll talk about what you are there for. We'll talk about what you need to heal, what you want to improve, and how you want to perform for the rest of your life. And then I will begin doing a sample session on you. This sample session is not going to change your life as multiple sessions with me will, but it will start the process. So if people want to find me there, I'm there. If you like fighting, if you like bare knuckle fighting, you could find me. BKFC, I'm fighting March 21st in Philadelphia.
Nice.
Interestingly enough, he's going to be there. We didn't assign that. He's going to be with his daughter the next day at the Wells Fargo Center. I'm fighting 20 minutes from the Wells Fargo Center there on the 21st. So that's interesting, right?
Yeah. What a coincidence. Where is it?
Yeah. No. You know, one day when I was with Emmanuel, we were in the middle of the street on 33 Gundry Avenue in Long Beach, California. And I pulled out my phone as we were talking about all these coincidences were happening. So many coincidences were happening, right? And basically, he picked me up from work, and I was like, something's telling me to go in this bar next door. I walked into a bar, and I found a girl in that bar that I knew from Pennsylvania who told me she was moving to California just months prior to me moving to California. Odd. And so we were walking in the street talking about this, and I pulled out my phone. And for some reason, my ex-fiance's sister's Facebook was pulled up on my phone. I don't know how that happened. Again, this was many, many years ago. And she had a cover photo on Facebook, and it said, "There are no coincidences, only God's incidences." So, ladies and gentlemen, I was not raised religious. I was not like forced or even like really taught much to believe in God. God has revealed himself to me in so many different ways. And so prayer, meditation, it all starts there. Conscious breath work, your imagination, it all begins there. You begin there. You begin there. And so my best advice to everybody is become spiritual. Go within, win from within. Close your eyes, breathe, and have conversations with your subconscious mind. Have conversations with God. The answers will be revealed to you.
Yeah, love it. Thank you. Thank you for
Yes,
your
sir.
time.
Thank you.